Perfect. All right. Game number one of set number one. We have 3 sets to watch tonight. Obviously, both of these teams / rosters currently undefeated in the BBC Joust League. Lyre, Valerio, and Kershaw versus Viola, Orani, and M&B Shocks. Interested to see, obviously, as the meta's kind of shifted more toward this double, if not triple, almost triple bruiser-esque draft. If they elect to change anything, already a double ADC band along with Kuzenbo, leaving some prio targets open. I'm interested to see if there's a change in draft. Typically in past, it's been an immediate Thoth lock-in, right? Getting that range onto a double or traditional comp, outranging them. But given the current meta with this Bruiser Mage double dive, it makes it almost impossible for Thoth to play a game or actually enjoy it. More so looking maybe even by the Gangies roster to potentially bait that pick with this Bacchus lock-in first. Honestly, the big dive, potential anti-heal, the damage, pride when proc, etc. Getting a ton of value. And I can't say it enough that the knock-up CC, aka crowd control, doing an enormous amount of work on that character. I think the first 2 picks here for the Sirens should telegraph a little bit of what that draft is looking to head toward. Well, the Gangies can still very much adjust how they want to here. Taking their time to think about it. I'm really interested to see if they elect / go into this triple dive comp. I mean, a lot of what's been prioritized recently is that Camazotz, Thor, Persephone, Thoth, right? Those are prios of Achilles into a double, if not triple tank. Hovering the Persephone. Yes, you can. Mama is open for gameplay. Typically, the rule of thumb is going to be as soon as it hits ranked. More often than not, SPL I think waits 2 weeks after hitting ranked to make sure there's no glitches or anything, but I'm allowing it. So Mama is, playable. Both of those picks I mentioned, even before locked in, immediately locked in by the Sirens. The Persephone, Thor being the prioritization there. And there's the Achilles, right? So the Achilles as a double frontline dive, prioritizing that execution. Achilles doing a ton for this anti-diver. I guess the current tank meta where the execution threshold just offers so much pressure here for the Gangies. Now I'm interested to see with this draft, they elect to go a mage. Typically Kershaw known as an ADC player. Do we lock that in? Are the Sirens just going to continue to ban prio ADCs? What kind of draft? I'm assuming if I am the Sirens, you're going to elect to draft another assassin, if not warrior, kind of elected for that double dive. But you have to be a little careful now that Gangies have that execution, knowing that all of that kind of sits with this Persephone pick. Is Sobek hovered. And they do elect to go a 4 ADC ban here, knowing Kershaw is that ADC main, kind of going for those private ADCs. They're definitely thinking about it. I'm not sure. I'm a big fan of the Sobek Thor pick here, or draft in general, mainly because of that execution, right? You're playing into that double dive we talked about earlier, playing almost into the hands of this draft already by the Gangies. But also, it's like as soon as Persephone is dead, if they're able to get their hands on her and confirm that kill, your draft in the 2v2, the Sobek Thor versus Achilles Bacchus, more often than not, I am going to favor the Gangies side of it with this execution and just general anti-heal off Bacchus. I am interested to see how they round this draft off by the Gangies. Do they go this ADC? Do they go a mage? Do they go a Mage ADC even. It's all unforeseen at this present moment. I think Purse is good. The problem is, like, if you're Gangies, you drop an you pick up an ADC here, you're gonna get out cleared pretty heavily, and it's gonna be pretty pressure heavy for the Sirens, mainly because of this Purse with all this AOE damage via the plants, right? So I want to see someone who is able to get a lot of that clear, and AOE locked in doesn't really answer that for me. I'm not against it. I'm not thrilled by it. I know, obviously, Kushoa being one of the top ADCs for a Joust current moment. The lack of CC immunity, but also the lack of, more so in my opinion, clear being the biggest issue. Hui not going to be phenomenal. Maybe we elect to go his well-known third item Oboe to help with that clear, to help with some of that prioritization on wave, etc. I do think in the 2v2, I'm still favoring Gangies for the Achilles Bacchus versus the Sobek Thor after both DPSs are dead. But you get this team to late game with an Achilles Execute and an ADC. It's going to be very hard for the Sirens roster to operate. How are you, Morphix? Both drafts obviously being very well compilated or put together. I'm interested to see now how they actually play that out. I would like to see a ton of pressure from the Sirens roster with the Purse AoE damage, but also that Thor Rail 1, Thor Hammer, right? Getting some of that poke, hopefully on the Hou-Yi. Forcing some of that out, but has to be then conscious or careful using his knockup immunity for the Bacchus, but also make sure he doesn't get gridlocked and immediately executed. You vote for the red team? I definitely think they're going to be favored early to mid, right? Like I just stated, but I mean, a lot of that comes from the Hou-Yi lack of damage. But I kind of, if you get it to a 25-30 minute mark and are able to almost stalemate it out, I do favor the Gangies late game more than anything. As long as their positioning, etc., is impeccable and they don't get picked out via pluck or Thor or rail or all, etc. I think there's a higher execution called upon for this Gangies roster, for sure. They didn't make it easy on themselves. Waiting to load into game number 1. We have 3 sets tonight to watch. This is just the first of 3. Obviously, both these teams, once again, for those of you who maybe weren't here earlier, both these rosters are currently undefeated. In the current, this is live. Yeah, there'll be 2 out of the 3 sets are live, so both these rosters are undefeated as of now. So this obviously being a fairly important match for both these rosters. We can get that low delay on. Waiting to load in. Boom. Game number 1 of tonight. Alright. Okay. Let me get to you. Boom. Boom. Put the DPS up top. Go like that. Alright. What's up, Brown Attraction? Hi, Kai. How are you? Game number 1 of one set. The first set of tonight, 3 to watch. Really excited to see how all these games go. Both these teams leading into this match undefeated of the current Joust League standings. Obviously, both these, the double front line for the Gangies, going more of these bruiser starters. Obviously, notable, the Bacchus doesn't elect to go alternate timeline. Obviously, alternate timeline getting that big buff from the 25 to 40% HP on respawn, aka regen, if you will. Doesn't grab blue buff. Ronnie possibly leaving that up for the Thor. A good Thor rail. Big knock up, aka flop by the Bacchus in response. So you see on point a big Hou-Yi one across 2, if not 3 of them. Poke now favoring the Gangies based off of the Hou-Yi one. Immediately getting a decent bounce. Double flop. Slash knock up once again. Sobek getting poked down. Wave pressure and poke favoring the Gangies here. Hou-Yi going for that triple bounce. Notable, the purse didn't get blue buff originally, had a re-jump wall, now it came back. Not sure why we're positioning that way. Good positioning by these tanks, making sure that they can't go purple in response to the red. So 2 buffs for 1 at current moment, giving Gangies wave pressure, immediately going to be heading into this purple buff. I actually think it's kind of interesting considering I would have thought this Sobek, Thor, Persephone roster would have been the prioritization of wave or pressure in general. But maybe needing those items getting out pressured by this Gangies roster. They were, however, able to steal that purple, making it a 2 buff for 2 buff trade. That should result in his death. A double jump in, one by the Bacchus and the Hou-Yi. Hou-Yi immediately ults, trying to get the damage off. I see some of those autos onto the purse. First blood immediately put on the Hou-Yi as well. Extremely notable. Big flop in. I thought the Thor rail on the Bacchus burp was enough to buy a little bit of time and space for the Sobek. However, not able to get him out and getting punished right away. That kill is pivotal onto this ADC. First blood gold. So there's that plant pressure, AoE damage we were talking about. Gets caught by the flop. No damage follow-up from his roster. Blue buffs are about to spawn. Both Chesters are up. Chesters secured and coming to get their own. Hou-Yi jump forced. Again, getting decent poke onto this Sobek. Almost looks like he's the prior target. Immediately secured by the Thor, or the Achilles execute, excuse me. Thor ult forced. Sobek looking to be the prior target for this Gangies roster. Kind of punishing the displacement or positioning. Achilles doing a ton of work. The knock-up immunity by the Thor might prove just enough to get him out. Purse ult in response. Thanks, TV. Appreciate the follow. Welcome to the BBC, also known as the Big Blondie Crew. Hou-Yi lining up that triple bounce for the blue buff. Able to secure that. Items here. Both Thebes on this double front line for the Gangies. Red is up and spawned. As Thor decided to go into the Jotuns for the cooldown. a decent rail, just not a ton of damage returned onto this Bacchus. I didn't do a prediction in this game. Are you talking about you missed it in general? You or I could throw it up next time, Terrified. Purple is up. You're good. I'm assuming this is either going to be a Sovereignty or a Midgard by the Sobek picked up in that position. Thor having the hammer out. Purple secured by the Gangies. Hoi prioritizing the wave. Obviously, wave being the largest source of XP and gold. But Achilles making that rotation, able to secure the purple for his team. A nice Thor rail there. A big pluck under the Bacchus, getting him under the tower. Decent amount of damage returned by this Hoi, though. Sobek pops Horn Shard and hopes of getting plucked back up. Got to be a little careful. He is kind of getting more so baited by the Hoi with the response time on that jump. Thor rail double tap, doing a decent amount of damage to this Hoi. Persephone just pathing in to clear the wave. Chesters are spawned in both these corners by birds. Hoi looks like he's being backing, finishing second item. Good knock-up immunity by the Thor rail. A little off the mark to stop Burt. Sobek not willing to pluck in for the Bacchus. Notable that the Persephone would appear to either be going Dirty Bubble, if you will, or Cloak. Obviously for the mitigations or just the general tankiness, I'm assuming she's going to be going Bubble, which is interesting because obviously it delays her itemization, more so percent pen for this double front line that the Gangies have elected to run. A big amount of damage immediately onto the purse. Good jump, however, for the immunity frames to get over that Achilles execution. A nice rail to get both of them. However, the damage still coming. Thorn able to get up just enough. Looking to back out. Ozzy procced for the Hoi. Red secured. Achilles just making sure he's zoned so that Thor doesn't actually go for the blue buff there. Sobek pluck a little off the mark. Need a decent amount of poke onto the Sobek. Notable, we did go Prophetic Cloak on this Persephone. Constantly trying to stack that with plants. However, T1 immediately skipped and immediately going into that breastplate now instead of the T1 AK Midgard or Sovereignty on the Sobek. Not thrilled by itemization pathing. Bacchus obviously hovering for a little bit of pressure. Achilles just pathing back in. Sobek blocking the Bacchus. Knock-up immunity used by Thor. The hammer just a little too late. Sobek did stick it. Beads mid-air used. Immediately going to be locked down. However, the purse ult gets blocked by the Achilles. Should prove just enough. He definitely thought about it. Obviously going to ult out with his health bar. The Achilles blocking the purse ult provides just enough coverage. Almost a complete misplay by the Hoi. Beadsing mid-air almost turn incredibly tragic for his roster. Now, he does go this Oboe third item like we discussed. Obviously, his roster missing some of that lane clear of pressure. Oboe giving him some of that prioritization. But I'm assuming both the Sobek and this Thor will probably go Blink. They might go Aegis for the Achilles Execute, but I would like to see at least the Sobek going Blink, right? To kind of create, to cross, make sure I can actually cover that gap, if you will. So Oboe obviously keeping them in combat, typically around minion wave minimum, to make sure that they're not getting that valued all the time. Bacchus immediately jumps in. Oh, he's not here yet. What's their damage onto this front line is going to come with that. So breastplates picked up by both rosters. Obviously double breastplate and Bacchus Achilles with that double breastplate here as well. A decent block. Immediate lockdown under tower onto this Bacchus, but the damage just doesn't seem like it's enough, and immediately the Achilles finds the response onto a double kill under T1. The damage should just not be enough. Hou stun a little off the mark. They're just waiting for Wave to path back in. Sobek down for 3. That should result in T1. That's a big start. The double kill for the Achilles. Just not having second relic for this Sirens roster. Obviously that being the Aegis for this Achilles execution just gives them that immediate pressure, giving them that secure under tower. Getting that double confirms T1. Gives this Hou a little bit more to get ready for bull fights. Thor, knock-up immunity used. Bacchus pops Horn Shard. Trying to cover some of that gap. Achilles plucks in. Thor ult immediately having to, or is forced. Sobek now the primary target. Hou jumped down. Thor a little off the mark. Same with Persalt. 5 out of the 6 ults utilized. That should result in Hou pulling Bull, and does. Should be pretty much able to solo this now, having Ozzy, Oboe, Griffin. It's double front line trying to path in. Bull secured. Bacchus plucked onto the back line. Now you gotta be a little careful here, because if anything, the Gangies want to fight and you don't have ultimates. That should prove almost devastating for that roster, and is, based off that pick alone, that should bare minimum confirm Bird right away, let alone possible poke. The purse being down for 25. Notable, however, Wave is still backed up. I would like to see the Hou just autoing this Titan, get some of the poke value in, and Purse is up in 5. Thor is up. Reaction time of the Hou, perfect. Able to jump, aka immunity frame that Thor ult. Achilles immediately locked down with ult. Achilles ult caught by the rail, should be stuck here. But is it enough damage turned on by the Sirens roster? Hou ult immediately forced. All relics used on both sides. Purse trying to get that kill, not enough damage. Out-traded Ozzy proc putting in work for this Hou. That's just almost too little too late. Double blank on the side of the Gangies. Titan got a decent amount of poke. Not substantial amount. Purse just picking up second relic for this Achilles execute. Thor on back should have his second relic as well. I'm assuming it's going to be an Aegis. Well, that is interesting. A Mail of Renewal, third item for this Thor. Sentry placed here by the Sirens. Obviously that double blink, making sure that they're not going to be any sort of surprise, closing that gap. It is a Midgard breastplate by the Sobek. He's going to be incredibly tanky. However, he's not going to be that prio target, right? First ult immediately utilized. Double tank being the prio target. Not able to get the jump off because he didn't have beads into the Thor rail. Able to lock down the Ho Yi. Bacchus now the target. Thor's going up. Achilles is waiting. That should spell the end. The bird is about to spawn. The double tank should be running down while Purse clears wave. Make sure Titan doesn't take any more poke than necessary. Ho Yi down for 17.
Your Titan is under attack.
It is actually one of the best fights that we've seen from Sirens this game. A big turnaround for them, getting this bird back up, allowing the Titan to heal, trying to even some of it, or stop the bleeding, if you will. We're at 20 stacks of Prophetic on this Persephone. Oh, wall's fucking me up. Should be the last fire wave for the Gangies. Ho Yi notably on bull. 0.25%, securing it. And does. They're just backing off. Secured what you needed to there. Now what I'm hoping for the Sirens here is obviously this bird on respawn gives that Titan just enough time to heal before the Ho Yi paths in. Persephone obviously going to be that prio target. Notable Ho Yi beats are up. Thor's got to be a little careful. They're coming at this Ho Yi one at a time. Beads immediately forced. Aegis on the side of the Sobek should result in his death to the execution, and does. Ho Yi now being the target. Purse nowhere in sight. Able to get that contact. And just enough. Purse all off the mark. However, Thor using it, kited into it. Really well played pathing wise, forcing those tanks to be locked down inside of the Purse ult, allowing him to hammer away. Achilles going to be grabbing red. Notably, picks and bans the draft that Achilles picked up in second slot, knowing that they're going to have that double dive, was extremely well done by the Gangies. Obviously putting in a ton of value here for their roster. Fire Wave's obviously going to give a ton of pressure in Ho Yi's absence. Ho Yi just spawning now. Bull at half respawn time. I would like to see the Gangies trying to get a little bit of Titan damage. The issue being Ho Yi beads are down for 80, so you got to be a little careful here on positioning. If they are able, they being the Sirens, are able to get on top of this Ho Yi, that should spell the end, or at least T1 bird in response. So knowing that timer is down, I would like to see the Sirens roster being a little proactive and being searched for that. Good patience by the Gangies knowing that timer is down. This should spell the start of the next engagement by the Gangies, that timer. More damage almost feels completely irrelevant into that Achilles. Hoi backing. Now, you gotta keep in mind, this is a fight we wouldn't have minded for the Sirens knowing that Hoi backed. Bolus spawning. I'm assuming that's going to be the pathing of this Hoi looking for that solo pull again. Bees are up. Now, I don't entirely mind this. The solo pull, even if Thor goes for that ultimate, if he goes alone, the Hoi should be able to decently trade. Bacchus looking for a Fire Blink on this Persephone. Does a decent amount of damage. Hoi soloing Bull during the entire time. That should pretty much spell the end. Good combo by the Gangies, forcing that stun. Thor ult not getting off in time. Achilles knowing his team was going to do the damage. Hovering execute. Almost perfect timing. Picture perfect, if you will. Just before the Thor got into the air. Achilles still doing a ton of work. This Purse trying to do all the damage he can desperately. That should spell the end. Fire wave here. Sobek, big pluck under spawn. Just not enough. Gangies roster able to secure game number 1 of set number 1 of tonight. I would like to see a change or prioritization, if you will, by the Sirens roster on this Achilles pick. Obviously, you're going to play that double dive, and what Bruiser asked, that Achilles, the execution in general, you're going to prove extremely valuable for either roster. Sobek getting picked a couple times early. I mean, undefeated into this set. Change here. Gangies being 1-0 in the set thus far. There, just like I said, right away, the Achilles prioritization in P's and B's. I love that adjustment by this Sirens roster, understanding that a big fight that occurred was that double kill under that T1, the Achilles execute being prioritization. That pick in P's and B's won them almost the game, if you will, doing a ton for this Gangies roster. I love the adjustment in P's and B's, leaving some of those ADCs open. If they want to run this double dive, this 3 bruiser, if you will, Achilles almost being top of the list for bans. So an X-Ball, Kabrakian, Achilles. Now, notable, it's almost like they're baiting the Kuzenbo on the side. They're baiting 2 picks, and I'm wondering what they're actually looking for. The Kama, Kuzenbo, Persephone. Kuzenbo being banned. They pick up the Hachi. Obviously, the other ADC being banned out, aka X-Ball. Notably arguably the top 2 ADCs currently in Joust. Now, keep in mind, I love the adjustment, knowing that they were banning that Achilles execution out. However, the adjustment to ban Bracken, aka that ult, catching Hachi ult, is obviously almost televised, but a very good P's and B's adjustment by the Sirens roster. Immediately locked in the Bacchus Thoth. Now, if this is how this is going to go, I want to see a double dive draft edit, if you will, if they weren't already, by this Sirens roster, this Hachi double front line to deal with this Thoth, kind of counteract that, and Hachi kind of builds itemization, pokes some range, etc. If they elect to go this traditional comp, I'm a little concerned. Obviously, that's what Thoth thrives into, and that's going to be a little bit concerning for me. I wouldn't mind a Bruiser almost dive Guardian here. So going to a Fizz, you're just going to band out anything from there. What's up, Events? How are you? I love how you are a Yarkwork laser, by the way, Jay. I would have never guessed that. Siren's obviously taking the time to discuss what they want to do and answer in response to this Thoth pick, knowing that they left it open in P's and B's, knowing that they're going to have to adjust this draft. I think it'd be a critical error here in this particular moment to not draft this a double dive of sorts to deal with this Thoth, knowing if you even let him get the late game, that alternate timeline, the range poke into traditional comp, like it's not something any of us want to deal with or enjoy. Definitely discussing it, taking their time, making sure they're on the same page here. And Ares immediately locked in. Okay. Obviously, the Ares, the lack of CC Mino on the Thoth. I'm not thrilled, though, by the Ares, even though it is that pressure, like you mentioned. He can, the root ability, obviously by Thoth. Knockup immunity is good on the Ares. However, an immediate answer I want to see on the side of now the Gangies is an absolution pickup for this Bacchus, electing or more so giving the safety to this Gangies roster, or more so that Thoth pick, if anything, would be a big pickup for them. Chiron, obvious ban for the Sirens, going for that cleanse, a Hoi ban, going for those ADCs in general. Appreciate the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome to the BBC. Big shout out for Shocks, obviously. A ADC connoisseur, if you will. Nothing to death. Welcome, welcome. But a Purse Camazotz ban. Obviously, the Camazotz being that double dive we talked about. I don't know if I would go for the... I mean, the Purse, obviously, that AoE damage from that range poke, trying to match the Thoth. I would like to see more so a difference in draft. More so that dive pick here, possible Assassin, Warrior, if you will, onto the side of the Sirens, again, like we discussed earlier. Gangies. It's in the title, big dog. No, it's not Ishtar Thighs. Their banner has Gangies, and that was what they went with. I'd start the league with it. They can stay with it. It has not been adjusted, nor will it be. I know. Tell them all the captains need to be very aware next time when we ask for team names and banners that they need to, because it goes on YouTube. It's in part of the draft. Like, it's in everything. And as we grow, it's only become more and more professional. You're going to have that stuff bannered everywhere, so choose it carefully. So a traditional draft on both sides not even electing to go for this Bruiser double dive. I'm not thrilled. I'm not against it. Obviously, both sides having a ton of value. Sen, how are you? The range poke, the Book of Thoth, the Baba passive, going to cloak, does a ton. The Ares, like, both drafts have their saving grace and a ton of value. However, notable the talking points for me on both these drafts is the Ares onto the side of the Sirens, right? If he gets gridlocked, aka a Thoth root, gets flopped on or stunned, and then on her pillow, they're just going to all in and burst it. I'm not thrilled. However, on the other side, this Thoth going to put in a ton of work via range into this again, like we discussed earlier, Thoth finding most value in a traditional comp, aka this Baba Yaga Hachi. So both drafts have their downfalls, but both of them have some excellent pieces to them. I am interested to see how it actually goes. Keep in mind, prediction is up. Who will actually win game number 2 of set number 1 of tonight? Make sure to get your votes in. The Gangies versus the Sirens. Yeah, they're being uploaded slowly, events. You got to remember, they all will. OJ Man is in chat. Big shout out to him. Phenomenal editor, edits for Barracuda and Nika as well. He's putting in an absolute ton of work. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please go support him if you're not already subbing to that. But he will be uploading all of them. Please give him a little patience as he's doing a ton of that on his own, if not completely on his own. So that's good. He's doing his absolute best to get them up as soon as possible. Ugh. All right. I'm not thrilled. I'm not thrilled. Because immediately I'm going, okay, well, how does this work? If I am the Gangies roster, I'm going to punish this Ares, right? However, the Bacchus flopping in, Ares has knockup immunity, Baba Yaga has knockup immunity, the Hachi have good response time, able to just dash it. Like, there's pros and cons to both of these. I think this is going to come down to a player differential, if you will, positioning, etc. But this Thoth, I want to see this on full display. Should be able to do an absolute ton of work for this Gangies roster. Waiting to load into game number 2. Bah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is live, so I'm being a little bit more patient with it because I'm not like going into spectating it, obviously discussing it. But game number 2 of set number 1 of tonight. We have 3 sets to watch. A 1-0 lead by the Gangies. Both drafts already discussed in P's and B's. I'm assuming I'm going to see 4 Sands of Time, aka going into 4 alternate timelines for this game. However, an immediate adjustment. I'm hoping this Baba Yaga doesn't walk out with Gem versus Sands of Time, aka alternate timeline. I'm begging. I'm begging. Don't do it. And she does. Alright. Obviously giving a ton of damage. I'm not sure. Obviously, build path, I'm assuming it's going to be a gem, coin, prophetic. At that point, she's going to see how she wants to finish it there. She's going to have, I'm assuming, going to drop an Ob Shard. I mean, maybe she's going for itemization account on a breastplate, doing a ton of damage via the lockdown from this Ares change. Now, blue was secured during that entirety. Bacchus obviously hovering. Now, they did it for clear, just base damage, which obviously puts in a ton of work here. There's that Bacchus down into that Thoth root. Should be a decent amount of damage turned on to the Ares, and it is. They are able to secure the red. I'm going to be a little careful. The poll actually ended. It was 2 minutes. Votes are closed for this game. Ares able to close gap, getting those chains onto the on her. Impale off the mark. An immediate beats force. Is the damage able to get off the potion? Securing first blood, and Ares walks out. A big transition. The first blood going on this Baba Yaga. the Ares getting out a big portion of that being the AA cancel, impale missed by the on her, and beads forced as well. A big start for the Sirens roster. Should result in purple, so 2 buff for 2 buff. Now again, that was 2 relics used here versus just the 1, aka the blink. Chains are locked down. Hachi dashes in, trying to get that stun. Decent poke turned on to the Bacchus. Not a ton traded in return. This Ares doing a ton of work with these chains, gridlocking either the Anhar or the Bacchus pre these 2 fights. Off dashing again, the backline, getting a double root, if you will. Give me a second. Level 5s on the side, our full level 5 just ticked over. The one who's not level 5 is this Ares, waiting to hit. Doesn't have blink for 20. Should hit off these 2 melees and doesn't. How close are you? Just not enough. Hey, wait. A possible misclick by the sides of the Sirens, aka Viola. A big missing piece now for the Sirens, obviously showing a possible opening for the Gangies. Bead still being down, however, for the 23. Chester brought down. Red spawning momentarily. Wave pressure in favor of the Sirens. Ares going for that double blink ult. Ult immediately forced by the on her. Thoth beads as well. Bacchus flopped in. Baba Yaga, notably no ult. Hachi does have ult. That should result in a red. Oh, Pillar Impale just off the mark, pushing a little further outside of the reach. She is backing anyway. It looks like it's going to be a coin first item. It is. Obviously, Baba passive, able to stack that. Looks like Gangies hovering the purple buff. Able to secure it for this on her. Beads are still down. 98 seconds on this Thoth. I would like to see probably there's gonna be an opening for about 40 seconds. If not, it's gonna be 30 seconds for all and blink for this Ares. I would love to see him be able to get his hands on and pull this Thoth, locking it down with chains. Should be a second kill done properly. Obviously he's backing here. I want to see the time this comes up. He's got a short gap window between blink and beads. Thoth dashing forward, trying to look for the pressure on the Baba Yaga. Able to land the root. You need a decent amount of damage. Thoth ult. Not a ton there, if anything. Blink's still down for 20. I want to see him play very, very patiently. Obviously, he's going to be backing. Looking for a T1, if not T2 second item. T1. He's got 30 seconds. Blink just spawned. This is that moment. Right here is where I know the Ares looking, and I want to see him get his hands on this Thoth more so than anything. Obviously wrapping around. Look at his pathing. Thoth has to be careful. This should be that pull, and he dashes. This should spell that end. Getting changed. Baba needed to get ult off. Is this enough damage? Baba should be able to hit all 3. And does. Hachi did ult. Landing onto the on her. Baba Yaga able to get just enough. Getting out. Hachi doing a ton of work. A 3-man wipe in favor of the Sirens. What a big swing. Thoth pre-dashing. Not keep an eye on that Ares. Knowing he wrapped. Knowing the blink. The beads were down. Like I said, that little bit of gap from the beats to the blink. Ares getting that blink ult. Pulling him back in. Thoth panic dashing. Just not enough. I need to see that Thoth, or just the awareness knowing that those beads have to be up for him to actually path in. Being a little bit more passive would have been a big call by that roster. Thoth ult catching the Baba, obviously putting her to half health. I still don't regret my Gangies stat too. That's funny. Yeah, the Baba ult, I don't know. I think Bacchus stunned it out originally, and then she ulted late, but she was able to secure it. I mean, I think the biggest portion of that is just the awareness, the Thoth having beats down for 30, and then the more so, notably, he put his dash on cooldown. I think he survived just enough. If he didn't pre-dash that Ares ult, let that course of action take time, the Bacchus buying some of that time, I think as soon as the chains wore off, he could have still dashed out. But that was notably the bigger error on the side of the Gangies. Chester's pulled. I want to see a little bit of that prioritization potion a little off the mark. Obviously a big swing for the Sirens, being able to get a 3-0 kill or full team wipe. And getting T1 is absolutely insane for them. The big damage already by Baba Potion. Going this Deso coin, not even going cloak yet. Just pure damage on the side of this Baba Yaga. The blink Ares ult just off the mark for this Thoth. He had beads up. Obviously beads being able to save just because we just weren't enough. I don't want to be that guy, but I am curious how close that actually was. Should be right here. I had to be just out of range. That's so unfortunate. Breastplate immediately going to be locked in by this Ares. Hachi dash forced. A Spear of Magus on this Thoth pickup. Red is spawning, chain off the mark. Red is picked up by the on her. Notably, the Ares not having blink or ult. All relics up for the Gangies. Thoth released off the mark. Good impale. Notable that is beats and ult off the Hachi based off that pressure, aka auto attack impale by the on her. Red immediately picked up. Thoth back, just caught. And dash force. Ares doesn't have blink. Baba's got to be careful, as the rest of the roster was pretty backed up. Ares immediately alting. Forcing on her alt Thoth beads to start the fight. Hachi alt and beads are still down. Second relic picked up for the Hachi. Hachi out trading on her with range ones. Bacchus flopped in. Should be poked down pretty freely here. Pops Horn Shard. Baba alting. Now he should have that jump back up and does. Has to be careful. Thoth contacting alt. Onto the Baba Yaga. Not showing a ton of damage in response for it. Looks like it can be a staff of Meridian here. The flop in actually catches the Hachi. Forces alt. Hachi able to spin it and get the damage off from Hachi alt. Ares able to catch the chain onto the Thoth. However, team not anywhere near. Hachi in mid lane. I'm assuming this is going to be a straight pathing in by the Bacchus. Make sure that the Sirens aren't on Bull. He does have a Sentry in hand and places it on Bull. Sirens full, sending backs here. All buffs are down. I would like to see Sentries in hand by the Sirens roster on the pathing out. We have one Sentry in hand via this Hachi. I'm assuming this is going to be immediate pathing in. Instead of putting the Sentry on Bull, elects to put it at his near / close choke point. Staff Meridian picked up by the Thoth, or the Baba Yaga. Let me rephrase that. Breastplate on both of these tanks. Bacchus hovering. I'm assuming this is going to be a Rod looking for that 40% pen. No cloak or Sands of Time. Bob almost going for the straight damaged build, if you will. Ares chain just off the mark. It's like a Wind Blade proc, just allowing him to get that movement speed out of the on her pillar. A 3-man alt by this Ares, immediately pulling the Thoth and getting this chain, locking him down. That should provide him a dash out, and does. Hachi getting a big alt onto this Baba Yaga. Hachi, I need to see that damage come through. Good damage from the Thoth alt onto the Hachi. Hachi has to be careful not getting caught by that. Ranged damage exchange via the Thoth and Hachi. I think if Thoth alt actually didn't catch there onto the Hachi, that turns into a little bit different of a situation. I am not thrilled by how slow we are on the Bob alt or general follow-up on the Ares ultimate / pull. That was, however, Aegis used by the Thoth. Aegis is expended. Immediate beads upgrade. We are at 40% cooldown reduction on the Thoth. Bacchus flopping in. Good dash / immunity by that Baba. Thoth feeling comfortable enough to dash in. Bacchus obviously wrapping on the Ares Hachi. Hachi having to dash out. So that is a Rada Dahudi on the Baba Yaga, 40% pen. I want to see this blue team force a fight into this corridor, if not kind of bait bull, right? Giving the Ares the chance to get in. He should be the target. Thoth feel comfortable enough to dash in. The Wingblade was procced via the on her pillar. A 3-man ult getting relics. Hachi ulted in. Bacchus is going to be looking for that engage. Obviously, the call off by the on her. Bacchus does flop in. Good knock-up immunity via the Baba. On her using ult for the CC immunity on the Ares ult very well. That might actually result in the Baba's death. Gotta be a little careful. Good thing the Hachi stayed. Getting some of that damage exchanged. Good communication. Hasn't really, like, this whole lead has kind of just stagnated, if you will. Still in favor, but not really swinging anywhere. Sirens just holding it. Like I said, I would love that the Thoth beads are down, kind of forcing them into this corridor, possible bait onto this bowl. Don't have to force it. Forcing them to step up. Ares looking for that blink. Now this is a pull. His dash is down. I need to see this team get aggressive. Baba dashes in, but not able to close gap. Like, we get the pull, not able to turn it into net anything. Via the Sirens. Obviously the Ares trying to put in a ton of prep work and set up. The DPS just a little too deep zoned by this Bacchus, creating that separation. Love you too, Real. Hope you're doing well, man. Baba is here by herself as full damage. Has to be a little careful. Hachi just pathing out a bird. Thoth getting all off onto the Baba. Ares doing decent amount of work. Kind of solo going at the on her. Hachi's still healthy. There's no XC here going at this breastplate on the Ares. Isn't feeling great. As soon as he gets the XC, he should be just chunking this Ares and putting a ton of work here. Big stun. This is the all-in onto the Ares. Baba Yaga nowhere near a big pickup here for the Gangies. Should shift entirely in the favor. A bit of miscommunication, if you will, by the Sirens. Thoth connecting all onto this Hachi. Dash just enough. Thoth dashes forward, not able to get the book up. Hachi beads. On her's been on bull this entire time. You've been busy as hell? I know you got a lot going on, dude, with Amma and everything else. You guys have been good. We got two line. We have 3 sets tonight. This is just the first of 3. So, it's been good. A lot going on, lots of stress, but you know how it goes. I know you got plenty going on with Amma. Decent poke exchange onto this Hachi via the Thoth. I'm beautiful? Nah. I'm tired. I've been dead inside for a little too long. A double sentry placed by the Gangies. Obviously, 3 sentries extended, 2 on top of each other. A little bit of miscommunication. Chester hovering. You're good now? I'm glad to hear you're better, man. I was a little bit worried about you. Glad to hear that's a little bit recovered. This Baba, gotta be careful. She is out of position. If that dash gets caught, a big knock-up by this Bacchus. A misplay by the Baba Yaga. The miscommunication and mispositioning by the Sirens. That lead they've been hovering immediately lost due to the areas getting picked, and then now This Hachi being that center focus, able to just get out due to that Ares ult. However, will that prove to be enough? Honor trying to get the bird and should. Yeah, I mean, two massive misplays by the Sirens, going from the Ares getting picked when the Baba, I think it was the Hachi was back, if not the Baba, and then the Baba stepping up by herself into 3 with no team around, getting picked. Dash being forced by the Bacchus burp, then the Bacchus cancel burp or ending burp, and flopping in, getting that Thoth all across, securing the kill, results in a T1 and bird. 2 misplays in a row. I need to see the Sirens team get a little bit more coordinated on the same page. Starting the game well, but losing some of that. This area is looking for a possible solo onto the Thoth. Now, recollapse by the Gangies. Has to be careful. Root off the mark. A big amount of damage. Thoth did dash in. Baba in alt. Can we return a ton of more damage onto it? I would have liked to see a difference in prioritization of target. Oh, hold on. Baba dashes over the wall, and the potion securing a kill onto the Thoth. Turning that fight. Keep in mind, a full fire wave has been on Titan. Just a little bit of the exchange and fight that they needed. Now, Thoth is down for 23, going on 20 seconds now, only level 18, nowhere near alternate timeline quite yet. A big impale that almost results in his death. Now, you have to be a little careful. The Bacchus is hovering, trying to close that gap. Hachi alt forced, Ares being the center of focus, impale off the mark. The damage from the Baba Yaga should prove to be enough on her trying to turn what little damage she can back on, so the Bacchus can try to kill it. Hachi step back up. Ozzy is procced. He has to be careful. He does not have ult. Bacchus does have ult. Trying to close some of that gap. Big slow by the Baba, but will it be enough? It should result in his death, and does. Bacchus able to cut gap. Now Thoth is here. Fire wave pathing in. Thoth ult and Titan. Baba beadsing the Bacchus burp. Should be the potion. Good Aegis by the Thoth, making sure it wasn't secure. Oh, the one just off the mark. That should spell end. Ares is up. The Baba Yaga is able to live. Now, this is one of those moments that is a big fire wave. Should secure bird, and does. The Bacchus, however, was pulled back in. This fight is flipping on its head. Baba now ulting. That is 2 down for 40. Hachi's up in 9. This could spell end. Titan is half health, however. What a tragic, just wild gameplay on both sides. 16 seconds on Thoth. Bacchus down for 32. Fire wave has to be addressed. They passed over Chester. Thoth's up in 8. We have a wave here. Now both DPSs are up. This is one of those pressures. Ares doesn't have ult or blink, so that pressure is going to have to be presented by Heavenly. Ares chain off the mark. An insane amount of damage via the Thoth. That should spell the end of that fight. Thoth dashing in. Ares doesn't have blink to try to turn it. Now both rosters up. This is now swung back in favor. There was a small window there. However, now that window's gone. Gangies should be able to path in and just all in this Titan. Yeah, this game is a bit of a wild one. A big amount of damage turned onto this Thoth by a double potion from the Baba Yaga. Now this is a 2v2 here. The Honor almost picked up. Keep in mind, Baba does have ult. The big ultimate by the Y just off the mark. If that would have spelled the end of Thoth, that would have been a big swing for the Sirens. These are small margins that both these teams are playing with. On her, both relics were expended to even get out of that. Thoth relics are up. I would love to see this Ares now shift targets from that Thoth onto this on her. Knowing those relics are down on her, should be pulling this to solo it himself. Bacchus looking to zone via choke point. Able to secure Bull. Hachi trying to get some range ones. Should be a decent stun. Thoth dash in front of the Ares. Root did get in place. He does have Fire Blink, so keep that in mind. Has to be a little careful here. He does have Bull, but is that enough? Now, clearing this wave, Gangies backing off. This is a decent win, however small, by the Sirens, mainly because bird spawning. Now, bird spawning allows this Titan to start regenning. So every moment for this moment on is a big step for the Sirens rosters, creating some of that separation and fight outside. Thoth did dash here. That should be called out / pinged by the Sirens. Both potions off the mark. Thoth dashing aggressively often. Ares getting a blink. Goes for that chain ult. Immediately center focus both at beads and on her ult force. But is it enough? Does he get out? A Sunder used. Heavily was... The Wingblade was procced. Is that damage able to turn that? What massive damage by the Baba Yaga. Creating some of that separation. Every ult used. Ares surviving there. Absolutely insane due to that heavenly pickup to try to get just out of range for the DPS. Bacchus ult just not enough. Baba's got to be careful. In a rough position. Damage just a little off the mark. Hachi is pathing up. Bull timer should be just wearing off and does. A big win for the Sirens. Obviously Titan regenning. Bird is up. Bull will be down for a little while. Effectively a dead even state to this game. Going to come down to who gets caught and picked. Now, the on her using it all for Ares ult. Obviously that CC immunity should match timing. This beads is down for 80. I want to see, again, small margin like we talked about earlier. You have a small window here for this Ares to pull that Thoth, to burst it, and do so quickly. I would like to see that be that shift in target once again. Notable, a Deathbringer, and fail not pick up a double crit. However, these alternate timelines did come online. Ares and Thoth both having it. My fault. The range poke of this Thoth. Thoth did dash in. Is the Ares aware? ADC 1v1 happening in the back. Good Aegis. Both relics used by the Hachi, but keep in mind, this Bacchus is in bird. Should that spell the kill, that should be a big swing. We have to focus to kill this Bacchus, and does. A possible misplay. Good relics used by this Hachi. Ares able to blink. Thoth beads are utilized. Both relics are used. Keep in mind, Thoth does have alternate. A big Baba Yaga. One, just capping alternate is used. That should spell game. Just able to secure it, but the Hachi's here. Wave is here. That should spell game number 2 and is a 1-1 set. Or 1-1 forced into game 3. What small margins. Small margins. Yo. Are you guys good with waiting? You're like in-game? Or do you have someone spectating it? Okay. Okay. Yeah, just throw up the results, then I'll watch it. Then I was hoping to watch it live, but I get it. Okay. Good luck, guys. All right. Game number 3, boys and girls, of set number 1 of tonight. Notable. Keep in mind, a big swing, small margins. I am interested to see some of these bands. Obviously, the Raijin, Thoth, Achilles, what I'm going to assume is going to be a Naja, Kuzenbo. What the edits will be as far as draft. From there, it should be a Hachi X-Ball prioritized on picks, I'm assuming, based off Grishoa and Shocks, obviously utilizing both as ADC mains. Who's going to win game number 3 of the set? Get your predictions in. That prediction is up to vote who you think will win based off what you've seen. Again, both these teams coming into the set, both undefeated. But I'm glad you're doing well, Lantern. It's been too long, man. Hopefully we'll see more of you. Go Gangies. Love to see that. Again, guys, that prediction is up. Get your votes in. Waiting to see the next bands. Obviously, a purse ban instead of the prioritization. I'm assuming it's going to be a Naja ban now by the Sirens. Let me edit the names real quick. Yeah. There you go. All right. Now what's forced, I would assume, would be this Naja ban. And is, so that leaves both prior ADCs open. That leaves the Bacchus open that Lyre's been putting on display a ton, exceptionally done. I'm interested to see what edits they make to the drafts, whether they do pick up that X-Ball, obviously more so for the Kashoa, the free power from his passive interaction really well with Failnaught and Griffin Wing, going to be a phenomenal pickup for him. I'm assuming it's going to be a Hachi, and then whether that elects to be that dive, an assassin, a guardian, where I want to see this draft go from the Sirens. Interested to see what that draft selection turns out to be. How many weeks? This is week number 3, Lantern, of the BBC Joust League. So week number 3 of a 8-week league, if you will, like a 7 weeks of league play, and then week 8 will be the tournament or playoffs. And a big bottle of tequila. I can picture that. Poopy. And ooh, I do love me some tequila, and I love hanging out. So I could see that being a good time. So I haven't missed too much too far. I mean, it's been a good start. We've been going through some stuff, but I'm excited to see what more comes. Obviously, a lot to come in future. Most of these teams kind of creating their identity, right, as the draft happened, trying to finding what fits these rosters. I love this Cabrakan pickup, not only for the help to try to help lock down this X-Ball, the walls, but more so the pickup to make sure that it's not picked up in answer to this Hachi, giving that survivability for his ult, right? So I love this pickup by the Sirens roster. A bit of an adjustment. So an ADC Guardian pickup from both of these. Yeah, the VODs will be up, Lantern. If you don't see it too, in the Discord, or you do exclamation mark YouTube, J-Man's actually posting all these games on YouTube. So if you ever miss them via VOD, you can always go back and watch it all. He's putting in an absolute ton of work that way as well. So excited to see what foot traffic that brings. Obviously now the prioritization in bands, I'm assuming, gonna be these mage picks, Baba Yaga, LaFay. Interested to see what prioritization or what direction. Now both of these rosters could go a warrior, could go an assassin, could go a double guardian ADC. There's a ton of variety here for both of these teams. Obviously a double guardian ban on the side of Sirens, thinking that they're going to go a double guardian ADC draft, versus the Gangies electing to ban a double mage pickup, thinking that they're going to go for more so a traditional comp on the side of the Sirens. Now they're picking. Taking their time, discussing what they want to do. I mean, given draft, I'm assuming they're going to go for a traditional comp, which they'll put a mage there and do. Okay. I'm okay with that. I'd actually favor that for that draft and how they've played. They seem to be more comfortable on this traditional comp via the Sirens roster. Putting that on full display. Boyle getting some clutch moments for their roster. I am interested to see more so on the side now here of Gangies. Now, they seem to show a lot of strength more so on this double front line, and there it is, that double guard ADC, allowing Crash to be that solo DPS agent, if you will, more so act as facilitator for him, transition into the late game. I actually don't mind that. The Jing Chen, the lack of CC immunity on the Agni, the jump immunity frames on both of these Guardians. This draft-wise, I tend to favor more so this double Guardian ADC, especially as we get to late game. Now, like we mentioned earlier, the wave clear and just general map pressure typically going to favor the Sirens. Now, how they run with that, obviously last game even, is going to be completely up to them. Agni waiting for that level 5, getting the bombs online is going to be a big step or spike for them along with first and second items. So, got to be a little conscious of that and how they actually decide to play the map accordingly. Game number 3 of set number 1 of the night, already turning into a wild ride for the BBC Joust League. I want to do that, even though it feels weird to do that, unless we just do something like that. Obviously, Griffin Wing pickup by both the ADCs. Notable upgraded shell on the side. Oh, thank you. Upgraded shell on the side of the Bacchus versus a utilization more so on the pots or T1 first item. Itemization wise, again, we discuss it all the time, right? I'm almost always going to favor, especially if you get to late game, the alternate timeline usages. Getting some of that value, double alternate timeline is going to be a big deal. This wave, this general map pressure going to be favoring. I'm not thrilled by the Sirens giving up wave pressure. Okay, red for purple, maybe. Obviously, almost proving a net win for Gangies. Maybe not feeling comfortable enough without the Agni at level 5 for those rocks, aka alt. Looks like the Siren's feeling a little timid. Good dash. Both teams just kind of playing off pressure. A big flop by the Bacchus off stun of Jing Chen, allowing him to get some of that wave pressure. Achi obviously trying to be that clear focus. Jing Chen getting that breath on top of the Hachi. That should spell first items. Obviously, Griffin Wing, T2 for Bacchus, etc. Not hitting level 5. Lucky, if you're on later, we should play some, big dog. I know it's hard to get you scheduled in. Be a working man. Hoy. Like I said, Griffin Wing, obviously for the X-Ball. Siren's backing, should be a Griffin Wing here. T2. Agni hitting that level 5. Like I said, that spike for his ultimate. X-Ball able to get a few autos onto this Agni. Notably, neither roster, or more so the Cabraca does have blink, the Jing Chen does. Only if I twerk? Oh, I guess we're not playing. That's not for. Yeah, I'm gonna send me a stripper pole. The Chesters have spawned. Again, you see the light in the corner for both of the Chesters nearing Bird. Bacchus is hovering. Jing does have ult, possibly waiting for the roster engage. A nice flop. Good response time by the Agni, making sure he doesn't get caught. Blue is spawning. Step 1, jump in. Step 2, hope you live, for sure. I don't mind this split. Actually, I kind of favor it. The Gangies obviously securing red, but trying a 50-50 trade. Now, they know you're here. You're showing on wave. You got to be a little careful. Flop in could spell the end. Hachi getting some of the range 1 poke. Wave is being forced under tower. Loss of gold. A big triple flop by this Bacchus. First blood picked up. However, the dash in. A double kill for Kershaw. Really well facilitated by this double Guardian frontline. Obviously at their best immediately with that double frontline. Getting on top. The flop in by the Bacchus, landing all 3. Forcing Hachi ultimate as well. A big swing for the Gangies. That's the start you'd like to see being on an ADC. Both of those kills going to him. Really well done by them. It's keeping him locked up for reasons crazy. I was worried that engage wasn't going to go well, being that Jing wasn't there. However, able to blink through tower, get that ultimate off. Trying to force that Hachi ult. Really well played by them. I'm actually surprised how well that team is showing, especially in the clear department. Obviously, like you said, Agni waiting for that level 5 power spike, more so even 2 items to really facilitate and show that pressure on map, but the roster doing exceptionally well, answering some of that. Decent poke onto the Jing Chen by the Sirens. Notable, we have Thieves on this Bacchus, but an immediate Phantom Shell upgrade for himself and this X-Ball, feeling the freedom to be able to flop in, get more active. I love that immediate upgrade for himself and this X-Ball, facilitating his team with that. I would love to see directly after that a shell for the X-Ball as well. Decent engage by Bacchus. I'm assuming that's going to be a dominance second item for this Hachi. Notable, you are 6 minutes in and already have Golden Gooseberries completed for the X-Ball and Bow completed for this Bacchus. Decent engage. Got to be a little careful, though. He is going to be that center focus. That should be it. Curtains for the Cabracan. stun immediately flopped. The alt force just not enough damage to secure yet a second kill. However, the Xing Chen able to get blink in. X-Ball dashing through tower. Able to secure it. Is the auto enough? The one auto. Almost trying, that one almost bouncing off the minions to secure it yet a third kill. Almost a full wipe for the Gangies. What a great start for them. A transition and comp. Maybe this double front line, obviously, like I said, transitioning and facilitating this ADC pick has been kind of the answer for them. Bacchus not able to secure or clear a buff himself, aka purple, pulling blue. Should swing for Sirens. Breastplate's already going into, obviously, full breastplate for the Xing Chen. Bacchus working on it. Cabrakan alt used. X-Ball beads not used. Dash in response. Horde shard immediately popped for the Cabrakan. That fight going down without Bacchus even being here. In my opinion, a possible net win, being the X-Ball didn't have to utilize Relic at all. No net loss, obviously. A net loss on the side of the Cabrakan. Alt force. The Cabrakan being the center focus. The ADC autos ringing true by the X-Ball. Securing yet another kill out of this Cabrakan. It should be yet another pickup. A double kill for this ADC. The X-Ball exploding onto the scene. This double front line proving to be the difference. Yeah, I can finish the prediction. It's fine. Engage. Beads immediately forced by the Agni. Stun going through. That is a T1 and Bird sub 10 minutes. Shell being forced. X-Ball having to dash out. What a big difference between games number 1 and 2 versus game 3. Gangies finding their stride. All buffs are down. Maybe itemization difference here. 2 items in a T1. A full 3 items and starter for this X-Ball. 2-level leave. But a massive lead. Facilitating this ADC. aka X-Ball. Just hitting level 12. A big blink in behind. A double. Yeah, there should be that throw. A good Cabrakan alt zoning this X-Ball, possibly allowing his Agni to live, but does it cost his own life? Just getting out just enough. That breastplate doing a ton. However, the Bacchus able to secure it. The Hachi dashing in, trying to secure a kill, but does he get out with his life? He shouldn't with the X-Ball dash. A 2-for-1 trade. A fire wave in tow as well. Cabrakan not going to have enough damage. Should secure the end. Probably one of the fastest games we've seen in the BBC Joust League to date. Week number 3, game number 3. Gangies ringing true, dominant 2-1 in game number 3. Well played by both rosters. A GG. I'll pay out that prediction. Choose outcome, the Gangies. Yeah, it was an insane difference for sure. I think